Now we're in part 3 or video 3 of assignment 4. The goal here is to create the scatter plot. So it's going to be this plot. We need a second data source. So let's go to Wikipedia and search for the list of universities by endowment. Just for the purpose of this assignment, we're going to limit ourselves to private schools, not including the public schools, because the public schools are university in each state, and it's sometimes difficult to match the particular campus to aggregate up to this entire state system. But just for our purposes, for learning, we're going to use private schools and their endowments. A thing that I found very useful is we can go to Wikipedia, and for most data tables in Wikipedia, you can just copy and paste. So I'm just highlighting it and copy and paste from Wikipedia into a Google Sheet. So this table, if I copy it, I would go here to a brand new Google Sheet, and then I paste, and that's the data. We can use this data in Tableau. So let's name this endowment data. Okay, and now let's go to Google Tableau, and we can utilize this data and link it by the name of the university. Hopefully the spelling and the actual wording is pretty close to between these data tables from the Department of Education, as well as the Wikipedia version of it. So let's go to Tableau. We have to import a data source. So let's go to data source, go to add. And because we put in Google Sheet, we have to go to the Google Drive. If you had saved it into an Excel file, that would have worked too. So using Excel would have been just the same as using Google Sheets. So in Google Drive, you're gonna need to authenticate. You probably know these steps by now. You just say agree to allow access. And once you allow access and have created those steps, it's gonna pull up the Google Sheets list. And I'm gonna just maybe search for endowment once it loads up. And okay, endowment. Okay, data. Okay, so you would do the same exact thing and double click into it. From here, you have sheet 1. You can rename it if you like, but for now, let's just link it together. Okay, database joins move data outside a table. Make sure it's using trusted database. Okay, so it's right now by default linking state to state. We don't want state to state. We want school name to school name, school name to institution. Okay, hopefully most of the names of the schools will match up because there's a standardized way to spell the names of the schools. Let's open and create a new sheet. And just for sanity's sake, we're gonna drag the institution by the school name, and they should be exactly the same. And then we can look at the endowment here. And so this endowment, and we can sort it by descending order. Okay, this looks like the data table we want. We could also include the amount in terms of gifts and drag that maybe on top of the label. So you have two rows of data. It looks like it's matching up fine. So I want to teach you a brand new skill. We didn't cover this in class. It's called a calculated field. Just like in Excel, you can create a formula and you can say, the sum of all the previous columns of rows equals the total. So just like Excel formulas, Tableau has a very extensive functionality to create mathematical operations and other types of programming operations, coding operations. So this is a brand new skill. Pay close attention. What we're trying to do is get the ratio of the gifts as a percentage of the endowment. So Harvard received, let's say, $2 billion. And the whole endowment is about 50 billion. So what's the ratio? It's about 2 out of 50, about 4% or something like that. So let's do the math and let's create a new column that calculates these two variables as a ratio. So you could either start with the amount of gifts, or you can start with the amount of endowments. Either way, it's fine. Okay, so let's do that. So go to amount and say right click and say create a calculated field, same as an Excel formula. It has the amount already preloaded. So now we have to write the code to do this calculation. So let's do amount divided by the endowment. You can start typing in or you can drag endowment. There's two ways to do this. I'm going to start typing endow. So it auto completes or it suggests this variable or this field. In Tableau, it's called field. In most other databases, it's called a variable or the column heading. So the value divided by endowment, anything inside the bracket is the actual string or the actual word for the variable, title of the variable. Let's see how it looks right now if I were to just say, let's give it a title, ratio of get to endow. Let's say okay. Notice a new variable popped up here. You can actually drag this onto the label, and this is the ratio. The ratio right now is 50,000. We need to do some kind of additional math because the Wikipedia endowment is in billions. So either we divide the amount here or we multiply this value by 1 billion. So in the calculator field, you can edit this ratio of gift to endowment. You can right click and edit it. A simple way to do this is multiply this value by billion. Okay, so that's, I think 1 billion has a lot of zeros, but 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, that's 1 million. 1, 2, 3. Okay, maybe that should work. It's not going to be perfect, but let's see. To be really safe, you can put parentheses around this operation to make sure. But I think in this case, the auto operation doesn't really matter. Okay, so right now it's about 5% as I kind of expected. The ratio is 0.05. You can show this as a percentage if you like by going to the ratio and saying format, number, percentage, no decimal, 1.1 decimal, a single decimal point. That's okay. So now we're getting the ratios. This analysis enables us to say, are some of the school's gifts a high percentage of endowment? Is the incoming gifts really contributing and adding a lot of value to the endowment? Okay, and notice we didn't use any time or day filters. For now, we'll aggregate the entire gifts over the same time period, a very extensive multi-decade data set. Okay, so to do the scatter plot, now that we have this new variable endowment, we could actually create a new sheet and put amount versus endowment and show all the schools as dots in the scatter plot. So let's do that. So for sheet 5, I just call it table for now. Endowment data. Okay. Let's go to, and we're not using this anywhere. So this is just a sanity check to recreate these values. Let's go to a new sheet, put x-axis, y-axis. You might think of endowment on the x-axis. So let's put endowment across the columns. And then the GIF on top of the GIF amount in the rows. You have a single dot just because it's aggregating every single school. So to disaggregate, you take the school name, either from here or the institution, either way, and drag it into the label. Okay, so now you have label schools. Harvard is very much an outlier on both fronts, both in terms of the amount of the GIF and the amount of the endowment it has. Carnegie Mellon seems to be getting a lot of gifts, but endowment is low. And this school, Yale, you can show and mark label and say always show. You'll show it. Yale is actually, getting good amount gifts and has high endowment. Okay, you might want to relabel this instead of amount. You could change this by editing the axes, and we override or add to gifts and contracts. Okay. So you can name it whatever you want in this label. Sometimes I like to make the axis label a bigger font size because it's really hard to see. Go to format, increase the font size. Always make the labels easy to see. And notice it didn't change anything because I'm not on the axis. So I need to go to the axis and go to, because the label is part of the axis, not inside the pane. That's A11, and same here. And I need to rename this because this is not very legible format. Let's say, make sure it's in the axes, and let's make it 11. Okay, and then let's rename the actual label itself, endowment in billions, maybe 2022. Okay, for now that's fine. Okay, just in terms of the design styling of the circles, we might want to make it solid. So go to shape, solid fill, make it a little more transparent and add some borders as we always do. And you can't control the border, so it's okay. Sometimes it doesn't let you. I think that's fine. A lot of the nulls, don't worry about it, because I think we only have private schools, and those schools match the other schools in the U.S. Department of Education gifts database. They not match the endowment data, because we only have schools, private schools with over $1 billion in endowment. All right. So let's see. We want to create a filter. The reason we want to create a filter is we might want to allow the users to filter out some schools based on the ratio. Just hypothetically, you might want to do that. Okay, so let's get the ratio we have and create a filter out of that. Okay, so these are the values. Not sure how we even got negative, so let's not worry about that. Let's leave it for now. And show this filter by going to show filter. Okay. And I think the US Department of Ed database, for whatever reason, has some negative endowment values, not endowment, negative gift values, but we can look into that later. Okay, so what happens is if you drag it and filter out, you'll show only a couple of schools like this, the ratio. Okay. So this is showing schools in this range. So these schools seems to have very high ratio of amounts. They're getting a lot of gifts and a lot of gifts, basically, compared to the endowment. So, okay. So that's what this filter does. Okay, you can also change these to percentages if you go to the give the ratio thing. One thing you could do is take the ratio and put it into I think a detail maybe, and you might want to format the ratio. Detail doesn't show it, but it lets the chart recognize it exists, and go to format, and I think the paint, and show this as a percentage, maybe 0.1. You didn't adjust it here. Sometimes you have to move it to the label. It's a little quirky. Okay. And then I think if you remove this and then re-show this again. So now it's showing the actual labels. Now you show filter. You're still not doing that. That's maybe there's a format function here. I don't think exactly that's gonna work. Let's see. Let me pause for a second. So I figured out how to change this to percentages. It's not very obvious. What you need to do is actually remove this filter for now. Instead of dragging it from here, the ratio into filter, you format it here once it's in the label or in the detail. So right now it's a label, and you format it, which is what we had done. Make sure it's a percentage with 1 decimal point. And now you can say show filter, and it automatically shows this and shows that, and it's a percentage. So do the formatting before you add it to the filter, and don't drag it from the list of variables or fields here. Just directly show filter from here. A few other things. Sometimes I like to make the dots smaller because you already have the text of the school. So smaller dots actually is okay. Less cluttered. And then, but make sure it's big enough so you can mouse over and find it. And then now I'm not sure if I want to show the ratio because it's also noisy. So you can drag the ratio into detail, and that's okay. One other thing that I did not do in my example in the actual things you want, that's in the assignment is this is a bonus kind of additional analysis. You might want to look at the different categories or types of GIFs. Is it a GIF or is it a contract? And you can do some further analysis on the category. So what you need to do is take the category, GIF type, transaction type, put it into a filter. And you can allow, I think the most interesting things are the GIFs versus maybe restricted GIFs versus contract. Okay, these couple types. The other stuff is not as prevalent. Okay, so that's okay. And then show the transaction type. And maybe you can leave it like that. And so the user can actually do some more further filtering by seeing like which of the contracts, which of the schools have a lot of contracts, like CMU and so on. And that would be interesting too. But this is a bonus thing if you like to do more of that. Let's name this for now, just for the sake of record keeping, scattered. And I think this is it for how to generate this chart. There's not much else we need to do. Maybe we can format the tooltip a little bit by, formatting and changing. So just typing over. And then the ratio should be probably a little, since it's a calculated field and not intuitive, maybe at the bottom. And endowment in billion. Yeah, US. Okay. Just to clean up more stuff. Okay, and school name might need to be bolder and so on. Okay, it's a little easier to read. The GIF amount and contract, as always, needs to be cleaned up. Currency custom in millions. We did this so many times. All right, I think that's fine. Okay. So we have it all set. We'll stop here for this video.